This morning, after listening to the judge, the potential jurors filled out a questionnaire, then went home. They'll be back here Wednesday morning for jury selection for the trial that the judge told them could last 3 to 4 weeks.
Mr. Noor, do you plan to testify?
Former Minneapolis police officer Mohamed Noor arrived in court for his long-awaited trial in the shooting death of Justine Damon. 75 potential jurors packed into the Hennepin County boardroom on the top floor of the Government Center in a makeshift courtroom to accommodate everyone on this first day. Judge Catherine Quaintance, the attorneys, and the defendant introduced themselves to the potential jurors, who were told Noor faces second- and third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter charges. At the end of the hearing, the potential jurors were given a questionnaire to complete that includes questions like, do you know any Somali individuals? And have you had any positive or negative experiences with people of Somali descent? Mohamed Noor is a Somali immigrant who's accused of shooting Damon from the passenger seat of his squad car after Damon called 911 to report a possible crime in the alley behind her house. The questionnaire also includes questions regarding bias for or against police officers. After spending Tuesday reviewing the jury pool's answers, the attorneys on Wednesday will begin questioning and eliminating people until 16 total jurors remain, which includes 4 alternates. After the hearing, activists supporting Justine Damon called on Judge Quaintance to hold the trial in a larger courtroom.
A case which has attracted international attention is being held in a 28-seat courtroom. Space is so tight that the Ruschek and Noor families are literally seated in the same row, shoulder to shoulder, and only a handful of media outlets have been granted permanent access for the duration of the trial.
And when the potential jurors return on Wednesday, it'll be in that smaller courtroom where the trial will be held. The questioning of the jurors will be done in groups rather than each juror individually, which theoretically should speed things up. Today, the prosecution filed a list of 208 potential witnesses they might call at the trial. We'll go into that in more detail coming up at 6.
And Lou, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but is there a formal way to make a request for a bigger courtroom or more access for the media, and has that been submitted to the judge?
Well, there are media outlets in town that have been denied access to the main courtroom, and right now there are those kind of discussions going on, and that request is being made. And hopefully tomorrow there's no hearings held, so there theoretically is time for a change to be made if she chooses to do so.
All right, thank you, Lou.